What's going on, everyone? So, based on reports that we got yesterday, Damian Lillard has unfollowed the Portland Trail Blazers over on Instagram. I always think it's funny, like when people find this, it's like, who's really like looking this up? I don't know. But nonetheless, this has obviously sparked further trade rumors that, hey, a Damian Lillard trade, it's got to be right around the corner, right? He's been following him all this point. He's requested a trade. It's in demand, right? He wants out. They want to trade him to Miami, or Damian wants to go to Miami, and here we go. We got our confirmation. Now, first off, I don't really think that's the case. I think sooner or later he's going to go to another team, whether it's Miami or it's somebody else. So I just think that this was like sooner or later going to happen. Wouldn't really look at this as like a signal or sign that a Dame trade is right around the corner, but maybe it is, right? Now, at least this Portland Dame situation is nothing like Philly, right? I mean, Philly and this James Harden is an absolute dumpster fire. At least Dame is professional, handles his business. He's not out here talking to like high school media and stuff like that about how he's upset that Daryl Morey upset him or whatever, right? But Portland is, in a lot of the same sense of Daryl Morey with James Harden, playing hardball with Dame, right? Dame wants out. He wants to go to Miami. The NBA stepped in, right? Portland called Big Daddy and said, hey, we want other options, this, that, and the other. And so far, nothing has come of it, right? And we got all the reports from like Dame's agent and, saying like, hey, look, it doesn't have to just be Miami. That's his preferred destination. He's made it clear that that's where he wants to go, but he'll play for anybody, right? And in reality, not everybody is going to trade for him. One, not everybody can trade for him. And two, not everybody makes sense for Damian Lillard. There's very few teams that actually make sense for Damian Lillard. So my guess is the market is probably very, very slim regardless and very bare, right? It's probably only a handful of teams. But I do understand the whole idea of like, hey, we don't want necessarily what Miami has at the moment, right? Dame clearly wants to go to Miami. That's obvious, right? But Miami doesn't have like this ridiculous package, at least in the eyes of Portland, right? Like if they wanted to go trade, and I talked about this for like a DeMar DeRozan, I think that could happen tomorrow, right? But they really have their heart set on Dame. Reports came out yesterday too that still Portland does not value anything that Miami has. They haven't had conversation or engaged in Miami in a while. And now there's reports that Miami's kind of waiting around to see what happens with Joel Embiid, which I think if you can't trade for Damian Lillard, there's no way you're trading for Joel Embiid. That I think is not going to happen, right? Joel Embiid might go for the biggest trade package in NBA history if he becomes available. And again, it's not like Miami has a bunch of assets. Like the one thing that they have to clean on is like Tyler Hero, which Tyler Hero is a nice player, but it doesn't really make sense for a team like Portland, who they basically have all their guards locked up for the foreseeable future. They don't need a Tyler Hero. And so far, Miami hasn't been able to find some other assets or picks or whatever to maybe flip Tyler Hero into something else. So this is probably going to get dragged on for a while. My guess is that this goes into training camp, but I wouldn't be shocked if Portland keeps Dame. Because look, at the end of the day, Damian Lillard is he's not James Harden, right? He's not going to ruffle feathers. He's not going to just not show up to training camp. He's not going to be unprofessional. He's going to be as professional as he can. He's going to, do and play his part. I do think Portland needs to just trade him. I do. I'm not saying you trade him for a bag of chips, right? You still have a long time. We still got, 5 weeks or something like that before training camp. So it's not like something that has to happen tomorrow, but it is something that I do think you need to get done before training camp. Right, Portland, based on reports, has not really engaged with teams, and they haven't really been very serious about these trades. But why drag it out? Right, even if you don't want to trade him to Miami, find another suitor, find somebody. Because what's the point of keeping Damian Lillard and having this drag on when you have your new franchise guy in Scoot Henderson? You have a nice young core that you want to kind of thrust into the spotlight and let them grow and develop and go through the lumps and be in the right direction. Scoot Henderson's looking at this as like, okay, this is my team now. I get the starting job. I get to handle the reins. Like, let's go. right? This is going to be a big year for me. Let's go try to win Rookie of the Year. Let's go try to lead, Portland to the playoffs or something, right? And then Dame's going to come back, and now he's the second option, right? And it's just like, why? Why do you want that dark cloud hanging over your franchise all season? Why do you want all your young guys to have to deal with the media and deal with this and that, all about Damian Lillard, right? Again, I'm not saying you trade him for, Tyler Hero straight up. But I'm saying, like, you could do worse than, like, all of the Miami Heat's young players, whatever picks you can get, and then just tell them to go get a first or something like that for Tyler Hero, right? You get, like, 3 first-round picks, and you get a bunch of, like, nice young players that you can grow and develop with your already nice young core. And the young players that they have, they're all guys like Jovic is a guy that can play power forward or center, right? So it's not like another guard that just doesn't make sense. Like, you are in a position to where, okay, we get some nice young pieces. We got a nice young core already. Get some draft picks. Like, let's go. Let's push this out. Let's start this rebuild. Let's do things right this time. We learned a lesson. We should have done better by Dame. We should have done right by Dame. We should have built a team that made better sense. I mean, the best player he ever played with was CJ McCollum, who was a worse version of Damian Lillard, right? Like, it's just, right? You have Scoot Henderson. You have Simons, who, if they want to trade, they can keep trading. You can also unload Nurkic onto Miami. Miami will take them if they can get Damian Lillard. So not only are you getting some young players, you're also on top of that getting picks, and you're clearing up cap space for the future, and you're unloading a contract that you didn't want to sign. It's not anyone else's fault that you decided to give Jeremy Grant a new max extension. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, Portland, I feel, is just really handling this poorly, right? Again, it's not the Sixers fiasco, and there's not an immediate rush, but it's just like, it's like, just get it over with, right? Tell teams what they want. Quit playing games, right? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like Portland is sitting here playing games, right? What do you want? Okay, you don't like what we have. Tell us what we can do to go get down. Like, what will it take for you to trade Damian Lillard to us, right? Do you want us to turn all our young guys into draft picks, right? Okay, you don't like any of our young guys? Do you want us to turn, like, Tyler Hero and Jovic and all these young guys? Do you want us to turn those into... a couple first round picks? Sure, we'll try to go do that, right? Whatever you can do, right? But you got to set the parameters of what you're looking for. It doesn't really seem like Portland even knows what they want for Damian Lillard. And all we hear is just like they're not happy with Miami's package. But Miami's like they're not negotiating in good faith, which I believe, right? Because all the reports have all said, and these are even reporters for Portland that have said, like, Portland isn't really serious about negotiating. They're not really serious about trading Damian Lillard right now, right? And it's like, what is your plan? What is your plan here? Your plan is to what? Bring Dame back and force him to play? It's not even just about perception this year. It's not even just about what you're doing to your stars or to your young guys now. It's the future as well. You don't think that this is going to set an impression on a Scoot Henderson or, Chris Murray, or any of these guys, Shaedon Sharpe, right? Like, you don't think that this is going to do something to them and go, man, like, so basically what you're telling me is if I stay here, there's no way out, right? You don't think that this is going to set an impression and a bad taste to other stars in the league? And look, Portland has never really been like this, destination for free agents, right? But if you have a good enough team, it can be, right? Like, if Scoot Henderson becomes anything close to what many believe he will be, and you have this nice young core, if they're, if in 5 years they're a legit, playoff team, top 5 team in the league, you don't think that there's a star out there somewhere that's like, man, Scoot Henderson, Keegan Murray, Sharpe, right? Like, man, let's say you do the Heat trade, say Jovic turns into something. It's like, man, like, I'm the missing piece. I'm the guy that they need to go win an NBA championship. It absolutely could happen, right? It's hard to be a free agent destination when you've managed your organization terribly. You've always overpaid for guys and been kind of stuck, think of like Covington and Batum and all these guys. Like, it's just they handled this situation as worse as possible. They've handled Dame's tenure as worse as possible. But you have a chance for a fresh, clean start with a potential young star that many believe may end up being the best player in this year's draft, and a draft that is extremely deep and extremely talented, right? And you have that. You have your reset, your rewind. Do it right. Do right by Dame. Make him happy, because then what he's going to do is he's going to, campaign for you in the future, and he's going to be a guy that you can, when you're pitching another star to come to Portland, you can have Dame go in and sit in the meeting with you when he's retired and be like, hey, dude, you got to go to Portland. It's great. Here's the reason why. Like, they were so good to me the whole time I was there. Even when I wanted out, they did their part and they worked with me. And like, you want that image. You want Dame in your corner, right? You want your young players to look at this and go, okay, like, yeah, like, I love how they treated Dame. Like, they treated Dame right. They did right by Dame, right? Now it's my time. Let's do this, right? Like, I don't get it, right? And I do. I hope for Dame's sake, I hope he does get traded. I hope he does get out. Even if it's not Miami, send him somewhere, right? Obviously, you want the best package available, but it's just like, what other teams are really going to go and make a huge trade for Damian Lillard? No, it's not that he's not talented enough. It's just like, most teams would have to gut their roster, or they have somebody that's already in that position, right? And it's like, how many teams are looking at it and going, oh, Dame is the missing piece, right? Like, if you could swap James Harden for Damian Lillard, I'm sure that they would do it right now, but James Harden's not going to want that, and you're going to lose him anyway, and that makes no sense, right? So they're gone. Like, Milwaukee would be pretty interesting. Like, that would be fun, but Milwaukee doesn't really have a bunch of stuff that makes sense for Portland in a trade. The Nets, right? Maybe you could work something out and trade to the Nets. The Nets were another destination. They got some nice young players that could potentially have an impact on you in the near and far term. But like, outside of that, it's like, who else, right? Like, maybe the Raptors, but does Dame want to go to the Raptors? In the West, does Portland want to trade him to the West? But if he did, I don't know, like, maybe the Grizzlies could put something together, right? Maybe, I don't know, the Warriors, you get some nice young pieces and draft picks and stuff like that from them. The Timberwolves, right? I don't know. I mean, there's options. It's just like, what team is going to want to make the trade? What team thinks that Dame is the missing piece? Like, it's a weird situation, right? But time will tell. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And also, Dame basically saying he wants Miami and nothing else. I'm sure that's turned off a lot of teams. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think of this mess? What do you think is going to be the end result? Do you think he goes to Miami? Do you think he ends up going somewhere? Do you think he ends up going and staying with Portland? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. Love